6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Soundi Thavam. The President emphasizes that building the economy should be our priority. The President also pointed out that the political stability and territorial integrity of a country is the best factor to win over the economic war. The US to provide additional $30 million to Sri Lanka. 10 billion rupees allocated for urea purchases for the Yala season. It is stressed that the government institutions should function as profit-making entities through effective management of those institutions. In news overseas, the Ukrainian Defense Minister says Russia planning 24th February offensive. And in sports, Manchester United to play Newcastle in EFL Cup final. President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized that building the collapsed economy should be the priority, as political freedom is of no use if the economic freedom of the country is lost. The President also pointed out that the political stability and territorial integrity of a country is the best factor to win over the economic war. Addressing a ceremony in Kandy held yesterday at the Presidential Palace to present the Distinguished Service Awards Visishta Seva Vibhushana to 77 senior officers of the Tri-Forces, the President said, although lives lost during the war cannot be regained, the income lost during the economic war could be regained. The awards ceremony recognizes the distinguished service of military officers was organized in conjunction with the 75th Independence Day celebrations. The Visishta Seva Vibhushana is a unique award and is awarded only to officers of the rank of Lieutenant Colonel and above in the Army and officers holding similar ranks in the Navy and Air Force who have served at least 25 years of continuous service and hold an unblemished service record. In relation to the years 2019, 2020, 2021, 53 Army officers, 17 Navy officers and 7 Air Force officers were awarded medals during yesterday's ceremony. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has decided to increase the price of petrol with effect from midnight last night. The CPC announced that the price of a litre of 92-octane petrol had been increased by 30 rupees. Accordingly, the new price of a litre of 92-octane petrol is 400 rupees. Along with the price revision of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, the private fuel distributor Lanka IOC company also announced that it will also increase the price of octane 92 petrol by 30 rupees, effective from midnight last night. The United States Under-Secretary of State for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland yesterday announced an additional $30 million for the provision of free lunch to 96,000 school children in 850 government schools. She said that the US has begun the delivery of 770 metric tons of food supplies and vegetable oil to meet the food security needs of the country. She said that the US government has provided support worth over $240 million to Sri Lanka just over a year. The visiting US Undersecretary said that she held talks with President Ranil Wickremesinghe about the US ongoing support to Sri Lanka. She also said that the discussion particularly focused on how the US can support for the quick conclusion of negotiations with the IMF. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira instructed ministry officials to allocate 10 billion rupees to purchase urea fertilizer required for paddy and maize cultivation in the coming Yala season yesterday. The warehouses of the Lanka Fertilizer Company and commercial fertilizer companies have 30,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer now. In addition, arrangements have been made to purchase another 25,000 metric tons. In addition to those urea fertilizer stocks, it was decided to allocate the amount of 10 billion rupees to purchase another 25,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer. The minister explained that the purpose of this is to provide urea fertilizer needed for paddy cultivation, maize cultivation and other crops in the Yala season by maintaining a reserve of 100,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer. The Agriculture Ministry has also planned to provide all 3 types of fertilizers essential for paddy cultivation, namely TSP, MOP and urea fertilizer without shortage in the 2023 Yala season. Minister Bandula Gunawardena stressed that the government institutions should function as profit-making entities through effective management of those institutions. The minister made these comments while participating at a function held at the Hikkaru Divisional Secretariat yesterday, and addressing the audience, the minister said that effective steps have been taken to convert the railway department, which runs at a loss for a long time, to a profit-making venture. The lands which are not being used by the railway department will be utilized effectively to generate income, the minister added. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Foreign Minister Ali Sabri says a wide range of policy measures have been identified to be addressed expeditiously, including the establishment of a truth-seeking mechanism and a social justice commission. He added that a new national security legislation replacing the PTA is at an advanced stage of being finalized in order to engage in a mutually beneficial manner with Sri Lankans overseas in the national interest, and Office for Overseas Sri Lankans is being established. Minister Sabri said at the fourth cycle of the Universal Periodic Review held in Geneva yesterday that a rapid development plan for the Northern East is being formulated to uplift the standard of living of the people in these areas, as well as improve economic growth. Further, the President has called for the full implementation of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, he added, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Commissioner General of Examinations, Mr. Amit Jasundara, said that the applications related to the 2022 Ordinary Level Examination will be accepted through the online system from yesterday to the 28th of this month. Applications can be made via the Examination Department websites www.donets.lk or www.onlineexams.gov.lk/EIC, and came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to a bulletin of world news making headlines, the Ukrainian Defense Minister says Russia planning 24th February offensive, and missing radioactive capsule found in Australia. Ukraine's defense minister said Russia is preparing a major new offensive and warned that it could begin as soon as 24th February. Alexei Reznikov said Moscow had amassed thousands of troops and could try something to mark the anniversary of the initial invasion last year. The attack would also mark Russia's Defender of the Fatherland Day on 23rd February, which celebrates the army. Mr. Reznikov said Moscow had mobilized some 500,000 troops for the offensive. In September, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a general mobilization of some 300,000 conscripted troops, which he said was necessary to ensure the country's territorial integrity. Authorities in Western Australia say they have found a tiny radioactive capsule which went missing last month. Emergency services had literally found the needle in the haystack, they said. A huge search was triggered when the object was lost while being transported along a 1,400 kilometers route across the state. Authorities released a close-up picture of the pea-sized capsule, which could cause serious harm if handled on the ground among tiny pebbles. A serial number enabled them to verify they had found the right capsule, which is a 6 mm diameter and 8 mm long. It contains a small quantity of cesium-137, which could cause skin damage, burns or radiation sickness. Mining giant Rio Tinto apologized for losing the device, which it used as a density gauge in the mining industry. A 20-meter hot zone has now been established around the capsule, and it will be placed into a lead container. It will be stored at a secure location in the town of Newman overnight before being transported to a secure facility in the city of Perth on Thursday. And back to the headlines of the world news. The Ukrainian Defense Minister says Russia planning 24th February offensive, and missing radioactive capsule found in Australia. That concludes this bulletin of world news, and on to development news. The new ambassador of France to Sri Lanka, Jean-François Pack, yesterday called the Ministry of Public Security Tiraan Alas at the ministry. The French-Sri Lankan diplomatic relations were discussed at this meeting, and the French ambassador has said that he would give his full support to further strengthen the bilateral relations. The ambassador discussed the measures that can be taken to prevent Sri Lankans from entering the French islands as illegal immigrants. Responding to a request made by the Minister of Public Security, Tiraan Alas, the French ambassador, Mr. Jean-François, also agreed to support organizing a training workshop for Sri Lankan police officers. That came to you in development news, and now we take a look at sports. Manchester United eased through their EFL Cup semi-final second leg with Nottingham Forest to book a 1999 Wembley rematch with Newcastle. Second half goals from Anthony Martial and Fred ensured victory on the night for Erik ten Hag's side, even though a place in the final was virtually secure anyway thanks to their 3-0 first leg triumph at the City Ground. American football legendary quarterback and record 7-time Super Bowl winner Tom Brady says he's retiring for good after 23 seasons in the NFL. Brady, 45, first announced his retirement on this day last year, but reversed his decision 6 weeks later, claiming he had unfinished business. He won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots and 1 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2021. Brady's final season ended in the Bucs' 31-14 playoff defeat last month. All that came to you in sports news. We'll look at business news next.
Go ekatiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
India's Adani Enterprises have called off its share sale after the share price plunged on Wednesday. The Adani Group's flagship company confirmed the $2.5 billion raised from the sale would be returned to investors after shares fell 26%. The group's companies have seen more than $90 billion wiped off their value since a US investment firm made fraud claims. Adani denies the allegations. Gautam Adani, the founder, has fallen out of the top 10 richest in the world. According to the Forbes real-time billionaires list, Mr. Adani is now the 15th richest person in the world with a net worth of $74.7 billion. He was third on the list last week. That's business news, economic news up next.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekatiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Economic news, courtesy of
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
For the first time after 3 years, Sri Lanka was able to record a 6-digit tourism arrival figure of around 102,000 for the month of January 2023, signalling major revival of the industry. Also recording another unique achievement, there were 1,209 Russian arrivals last Tuesday, which is the highest number of Russian arrivals per day up to now. That's economic news.
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LONC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Weather report.
The depression over the southwest Bay of Bengal has entered through the east coast of Sri Lanka and is moving across the country. Therefore, cloudy skies will prevail over most parts of the island, and showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the northern, north central and eastern provinces. Showers or thundershowers will occur elsewhere during the afternoon or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the northern, north central, eastern and Uva provinces and in the Puttalam district. Strong winds about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the northern, north central, eastern and northwestern provinces. To conclude this morning's news broadcast, a recap of the headlines. The President emphasizes building the economy should be our priority. The President also pointed out that the political stability and territorial integrity of a country is the best factor to win over the economic war. The US to provide additional $30 million to Sri Lanka. 10 billion rupees allocated for urea purchases for the Yalla season. It is stressed that government institutions should function as profit-making entities through effective management of those institutions. The Ukrainian foreign minister says Russia planning 24th February offensive, and Manchester United to play Newcastle in EFL Cup final. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast.